genre is beat 'em up, and this genre is, I'm gonna make a statement here. It's dead since I think late 90s or so. The first game that really started and hitting this love. Gamers, welcome to the Pixel Meeple podcast, where we talk about games, and games, board games, video games, and card games. Just games. And especially all those magical moments that those games create, personal stories that we would love to share with all of you. We're going to dust off some old classics and some newfound classics, potential hidden gems. Let's hit it off, Robin. It's our second episode ever. The first one we checked it off, and now we're here.
Yeah, so the first one is done, and we're still here for some reason. So
yeah,
let's go get on.
Our first segment is classic games, origins, games that have found root in all the games that were released, had some sort of influence on us, or the games that were sprouted out of those games.
So last time you started with a game, and you started within basically a year, going off 81. I'm still not going to do that. But you did talk to me offline, and you said, if you're going to bring in that one, just let me know. I didn't let you know, but I'm just like, I'll do it right away.
Okay, you're going to do it now.
So the last one, the last podcast we did, I did 3 video games. I was like, that's not really fair. This time I brought one board game. The first game I want to talk about, and I'm really passionate about, is Twilight Imperium. You should have known. So Twilight Imperium is my all-time favorite board game. And I think that is for a reason. It is a really cool game. Every playthrough I do that with a couple of friends always is epic. It is an epic space game. And for me, it basically checks all the boxes. The thing is, with this game, it's a long game, and it can be very long. I think with the expansion, Prophecy of Kings, you can actually, and I'm talking about Twilight Imperium 4th edition. The first Twilight Imperium came out in 97. Is it 97? Yeah. Prophecy of Kings, you can actually play with 8 people, and normal run is, I think it cost me 8 hours or something like that. But the most beautiful about this game is that you start playing it, and then you look at your watch, and it's like, where did those 3 hours go? It's like, it's just one of those games where you just lose track of time, because one, you're in your mind looking at all the scenarios that's happening on the field. You have to look at other opponents and just go through. But the thing is that while I only play this game 2-3 times a year max, because it's just hard to get everybody to the table to actually play this, it is one of my favorite games. It has everything: betrayal, diplomacy, space battles. Did I say a lot of space battles? I love space battles, which sometimes are ridiculous. A lot of different factions, which has a little bit of async within the whole board game, which for me really, every time you play it, and I have to be honest, I played it like 10, 15 times now. Every time it feels new, right? You have new factions or a new variation of factions. I also played the async version as well, which is really well done, by the way. And every time it gives you a new experience. And one of the things is, how do I gauge what a really good board game is that I can still remember the first board game I played, for the first time I played this, and what faction I was, who I was playing against, and all those things. And especially when I was playing with you as well.
Yeah, and that's specific potential battles as well, and those betrayal moments, most likely, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that you have all these. So we have a friend as well, and that's always quite a fun anecdote. He always leaves his home systems undefended, and it always gets caught. He always loses it. It's always like, how did that happen? Oh, you did the same thing you did last time, Pinky. You went away again, and basically you freed the space up, and we couldn't let that go. But it's epic, right? It feels epic. It's big. It's grand. There's a lot of strategy in that. It has been on number 4 on Board Game Geek top 100 for I don't know how long. I can understand there was a lot of people that don't like it, or especially don't really like the length of it. And that for me is, if this game could be shorter in some way, but still keeping that epicness, that would be a really good thing. But it is also a game where I set aside time with friends, and you have a whole day and you play it and you have a lot of fun. And in the end, if you win or lose, it's still you had a really good game. And so my next session is, I think it's in June somewhere we're coming up. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I do think it's good for our listeners to talk a bit about how you could potentially win, or what the objectives are in the game.
Twilight Imperium has 2 modes. So you can go to 10 victory points, or you can go 14. Don't do 14. It's way too long, only for the people that really know what you can do. And basically what you can do is you have to get objectives to get victory points. You can also have the middle where you can extra points, and you have strategy cards which you pick in the first round, where you can also have opportunities to get extra victory points. And there are ways to get towards 10. And the first one that reaches 10 basically wins the game and rules the universe. Every player starts with a pool of tactical chips and command chips and strategy tips, and basically you expend those to do actions, and you need to be really strategic with where are you going to use those for, and you need to really think upfront on what you're going to do. Do I need more tactical tips in the end of the round, or gonna increase my fleet pool, or do do I want to have more strategy next round? And you really need to think about those options, and you can really use those tokens. There you basically build your base, your units to actually create fleets, and then go over the board and take planets and explore, and basically trying to get yourself in a good position, and then really go towards the objectives, because the game is not really to kill another player. It's not like Risk, where we talked about the last podcast. It is really about getting your victory points as quickly and efficiently as possible. So what you have to do is like, which secret objectives can I do? What objectives can I get fast? There are a lot of variations which you can. It really depends on what faction you have to get to that winning scenarios.
And those factions, that's something that I really adore about this game. Those factions all play different, right? I mean, they're very asymmetric. I mean, you have a faction that could steal technology and science from another player. You have a faction that has some sort of Death Star. I don't know the exact name of
That's just basically the boss. Yeah, now, but the thing is that what you have with this game is that you, what they nailed with the faction is every faction plays the same. You do the same actions. You have the same fleet pools and stuff like that, but you have different kind of abilities, which really change the faction on how it plays and where its strengths and weaknesses are. Right? Some are really good with fighters, or some are really good with other ships or destroyers, or some are really good with dreadnoughts. You really have different ways, and based on which faction you have, you even if your strong suit is destroyers, you still need to have defense if you're playing with people that has a lot of fighters. There is a lot of strategy here, what you need to take care of and trying to beat them. And the thing is that I think for us, I think that the battle itself is just rolling a little bit of RNG, which is not the best thing of the game, but I'll allow it in this case, right? So in most cases, it goes, right, if you have the majority, then you win most of the time. But if you're really unlucky, then you can't lose from a smaller fleet. That is the only thing where I'm like, I would like to have a better battle system in that. But in generally, the feel of it can be really big. It's like you have a lot of miniatures on the field. It's always good. It's like you have a pile of miniatures on one side, and we need to take them offside to do the actual battle. and also have the diplomacy, right? There are some rules there where you can say, so if you're going to do something together, it's a signed deal, you have to do it. But there are also other opportunities where you can say, nah, screw you, I'm not going to do that, right? I told you I'm going to do it, but nah, I'm not feeling it anymore. So you can do a little betrayal there as well. So don't take this game personally, I would say.
I think that's a good remark that you're making, because there are two aspects to this game. Is one, I think, is the duration of the game. It will take at least 3 hours, I'm assuming, at least, and it can take up to 6 hours or even longer. And the second thing I think is good to mention is because it takes a long time, there is no real player elimination. I think that's a very good thing compared to Risk or any other game in that category. But there are some big moments that if you're moving all your troops to a certain area, you're gonna be betrayed, you're gonna be backstabbed, or you thought you were friends in real life, and then all of a sudden in the board game itself. And I'm sorry. I am one of those persons that if I see an opportunity, I will pick it and I will shove that knife in your back. I don't care how much of a friend I am for how many years. I will do it. If that opportunity is there, I will just take the hit. But if you don't like those moments, or you need to find a certain player group that you can almost say, okay, we're going to be nice to each other in these type of games, but you need to be prepared.
Especially when they call it win slaying, is that if somebody is about to win, the thing is you can calculate that, right? You know
exactly
what objectives are there. You don't know if he has any secrets or anything like that, but you know. But then the whole table turns against you. So there was one game where I was second, and the first one was winning. So everybody was like, "Oh, we need to kill him, and we need to get him." And I was like, "Yeah, if you kill him, I win. So I don't care. I'll help."
It happens quite a lot of time with those type of games where everyone is picking on the first one, but the person that you actually should pay attention to is the one that is second.
But actually, the fun thing is we took about a half hour trying if we could prevent him from winning, and we finally found a way. And then he said, like, "Yeah, but I still have this card, and so I still win." So I was like, "Oh shit!" It's like, well, man, couldn't you do another half hour?
Yeah. Credits to him. I mean,
we allowed it, so it was fun. It's like trying to win. Yeah, this game. It is very long. It can be very long. You said 3 hours. I think that if you look at online games and people with that are very good sometimes play games about 5 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So that takes quite some time. So you need to be prepared for that. But if you say to me, "Let's play this game Saturday," I'm like, "Let's go." And that is what, for me, that's a great game. And for me, this board game especially has it all. For me, it's even number one. For some people, it's lower because they don't really get to play, but we really have to plan to play it. One thing before we end, what is also good is that when somebody else is turn, there's always something to do for you. Because if he does a strategy card, for instance, you can do an action as a player as well, right? So you need to pay attention to what people are doing, right? You need to really keep on your toes. What's somebody doing and what can you do? And that's why the time just moves like crazy.
I think it's important for games that are as long as Twilight Imperium. It either needs to be very snappy turns, like pap, 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 and you're, through, or the other player needs to be engaged and needs to be able to do something during their turn, so to say. And that's the case for Twilight Imperium, which I really appreciate, because if you weren't able to do so, I think I would grab a beer and do my own stuff and then walk back and then see whatever has been changed on the table.
But then you miss the engagement, right?
Exactly. And that's the whole point of the game.
And then the game, actually, if you're looking at the hours, then the game is really long. But for me, it never really feels long, right? Yes, time flies, but you're constantly busy with the game, and that is really something really hard to capture. And I didn't really get that with a lot of games, especially are that long, where you don't feel that it's a game anymore, but it keeps you engaged constantly, right? That is for me where I say, wow.
And is able to capture epic game moments. I really like the fact that you have owned this game, so I don't have to own it. It's not going to be in my top 10 for multiple reasons.
Shame.
I think it mostly has to do with the fact that the time duration of the game itself, and the space battles. But I do think that if I were to play it more often, this will increase in value and my perception of the game as well. And as long as those epic moments will be added towards my memory brain, then I think, yeah.
So you're basically saying we need to play this more.
I think
Which
so.
I can do.
Yeah. But it's an investment, right? I mean,
yeah. It's a fun one, but it's really specific to people that like that kind of games and rather prefer was something shorter, which I totally get. It's the length does scare a lot of people off, which yeah. But when you play it, it's always epic, and I think that most people that actually played it or played it multiple times can relate to that.
I can definitely relate. So it's a good pick.
I know.
Yeah, well, sometimes I will disagree. I will tell you so, Robin.
You're not allowed to disagree. Okay.
So, but this time I do. For my 3 picks, again, they have all 3 something in common, and it's a genre that I really, really adored as a kid. I think I've put many hours into it. Evenings or even late evenings. The genre is beat 'em up, and this genre is, yeah, I'm gonna make a statement here, is dead since I think late 90s or so. They tried to resurrect with at least a few titles. One of them is Streets of Rage 4, and I think the latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it's a real shame because I have so much love for this genre. I love it. And the first game that really started and hitting this love for this genre was on the NES, was Double Dragon 2. And it is the second one. And I think the reason why I brought Double Dragon 2 instead of Double Dragon 1, it was the first game as a beat 'em up that you could also play together. So as a co-op. And since I play a lot of games with my brother back then, this enabled us to play a game, not, switch off and on with who is playing and who is which turn, and also not fighting each other, because then potentially could end up in a real fight after the game itself. Yep. But then, fight the opponents together and make it through all the levels. So what you have to do within Double Dragon 2, well, there is a sort of like a revenge situation. Girlfriend is kidnapped. I don't know. You need to beat up some guys. Meet it until the end of the stage. You need to beat certain bosses. All those bosses have different abilities. And what happens is after you finish a stage, the end boss is most likely going to end up fighting you in the second stage as a normal villain, so to say. So it will progressively become more difficult and more difficult over time. And this is from a game design perspective, they did something very innovative. You have to imagine everything was flat, right? Every game on the NES or 8-bit style was flat.
It was flat as the earth. Oh.
They tried to implement a 3D element into it. They added like a shift angle, so you could actually move left and right And that was quite new because most of the games that were on the NES was just either it was flat, so you look from a top-down perspective, or as like you have on Mario, you just walk to the left and right and you jump up and down. And this one was sort of like an angle. I think it's very hard to describe this, but
Yeah, they try to create a fake 3D effect.
exactly,
Going up and
yeah.
down.
I think that's good, and the co-op was also something that I mentioned already, but was something that was also quite unique for at least for beat 'em ups at that moment in time. You did not only want to survive yourself, but you want to make sure that your brother was sticking around as well and did not, make a wrong jump or so. And I think thirdly, you only had two buttons with the NES, but they had so many fighting combinations hidden into those few buttons that you had. Like you could throw a punch, you could throw a kick, you could do a roundhouse kick in the air, you could grab someone, and give him a knee, you could do a flying knee, I can go on and on. That is, it's really impressive how creative they were with just two buttons and, up, down, and left, right.
Yeah. No, I can think. I never played Double Dragon 2 on the NES, but I did play Street of Rage on the Sega Mega Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Similar way, you had three, right? You had three main characters. One with, I think, roller skates or something like that. And the fun thing I always was, like, you had the lead pipe that you could pick up, and then you basically hit your friend in the head with the lead pipe, because you could actually have friendly fire with that. And always, I'll take the top, you take the bottom, right? Those are the things that you really have in those games. But also, just picking back towards what we did in the last podcast, and this is really in that genre as well, is that these games were really, really hard.
Yeah.
Actually getting to the end was quite a feat, right? It wasn't just really like, oh, I go Mario and I go to the end of the level and I go through. Getting through these levels and surviving these levels with enough lives and enough health without dying, and getting new health to progress to, was quite difficult and quite annoying.
Definitely. And this game had 3 difficulty levels, basically. So if you were to make the easy mode, I think then the game ended around stage 4 or something like that. If you were to do it on the second level, then you end up fighting your own shadow. So they were mimicking your own moves. It's really cool if you do it with the two of you, because then you're having your partner and 2 shadows walking around. And then you have the third difficulty level, which was after the shadows. You had some very big boss. I made it through all the end, but I could not repeat it very often. But it was a very difficult game. But this only love for this game. Only love.
A lot of hours in there.
Yeah, definitely. So what is your second pick?
So my second pick, I do not know if you have played this, but this is a game that is quite old, falls within the love of the game I have for strategy games. So, and for this one, it's Hero of the Might and Magic, and especially the second one. So Heroes of the Might and Magic, for people that don't know, is basically a fantasy turn-based strategy game where, depending if you play the campaign or you're just playing for yourself, you choose a faction, and that faction has certain heroes which have accompanying castles within it, and based on the castles you can recruit new beasts, and then you have your hero, you run around with your beast, and then basically get resources, and every week you get your growth of your creatures, and you can basically create a bigger army, constantly fighting and increasing your heroes in level. You can have multiple heroes all the time. So you can have either one big army, which I normally did, or I have two with a big army, which is really annoying with the AI. Just has all heroes and just picks everything, and it's being freaking annoying. It's really annoying.
What
It's
is
like,
it with the computer? Always enables cheat mode, you know?
no, but it's so annoying because they have so many heroes that have like one or two creatures in it, and they just go everywhere and pick everything you got because you only have two heroes. And at some point you're just picking them off one by one, but it's really annoying that like he's in the top right and you have to go there again and then kill him and then move back and then another one from the other side comes. Really annoying. But that was a game that I played quite silly, where it has dragons, it has all kind of fantasy, where you build up to your strongest, right? If you were the warlock, you had the first the green dragons, and you upgraded to the red dragons, and you upgraded again for the black dragons, which exponentially cost more. But those creatures were really powerful, and you can just really go towards fighting the enemy.
Which platform did you play it on?
PC. So PC.
And
So-
which version?
2. So Heroes of Might and Magic, it goes towards 7 these days, or they have some newer versions as well. They kept the formula intact, so I still have the same. And basically when you attack and you get on the battlefield, you have a defender and you have an attacker on both sides. And based on who's first, and you find each other, and then you need to just basically defeat the other hero or creatures. And you can use spells, and so there was a lot of depth in that, because you really had to look at, okay, but what do I want? Do I want to have ranged only, or do I need to have people that can walk fast or that can fly over the map really quickly? And how can I pick off the weaker ones? So how can I pick up the archers? And it becomes harder when there is a lot of them, because if you have a lot of archers, they're doing a lot of damage, which is they can kill a lot of you before if you don't go first. So having certain items to make sure you go first, and you have more luck, so you maybe have a second turn within the same turn, right? So there was a lot of things that you can do and a lot of fun, and then basically you got so powerful that you basically ripped it through the level. But generally you had a lot of replayability as well, because you could play different factions that have different ways of working, right? If you have the necromancer, you have your you don't have black dragons, but you have bone dragons, which are a little bit they're not as good, but you have other creatures that are more powerful than whatever the black dragon had. Yeah. So there you have a bit. They're trying to balance it in that way, and it's just fun to play. It was just generally, I had games that spanned out, and there's another game where basically time was lost, where that's like you start playing it, and for some reason it was 5 o'clock, right? You're constantly building, trying to get your armies up, trying to get all these maps and explore that. And one thing is, what was well with Heroes of Might and Magic, what I did when I was younger, is making my own maps and stuff like that, right? Doing a little bit of map building and stuff, which was also really fun to do, and just trying to be creative and trying to create your own map and trying to play it. Yeah, Heroes of Might and Magic, I think that still there are Steam versions as well which you can play. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is a really good one as well. I have 2 which I still can play as well through the Ubisoft thing, so you can still start it up. And it feels like going back in the time. So I'm quite nostalgic, guys. I love the ability to replay those on current platforms, right? Find out a thing where you can go back in the past and really old games.
Yeah, it's nice.
Instead of they lost to forever, right? So, yeah, they're really playable.
What was your favorite hero or character?
Favorite hero or character? That's a good one, actually. For Heroes of the Might and Magic 2, which I play, I think, the most, I always liked the Wizard or the Warlock, which had the green dragons, or had the Titans, which were quite fun to play because they also had a lot of magic ability. And magic is really powerful as well. It's like if you have really strong, powerful magic attacks to really damage the castles. Because at some point, taking in castles can be quite a hassle if you don't have the right spells to basically break down the siege or break the castle really quickly. So I use that a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of progression in there. It's a lot of fun, and I'm happy that I still can play it.
So my second pick is in the same range as beat 'em up, as I mentioned. I come to think of it, it also has number 2 in the title, so it's the second iteration. And the third pick that I have also is a second release. So I don't know. This was by luck or chance. I'm talking about also an NES game. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. I mean, any one of us that were born in the 80s did watch in the animation series of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtles that were raised by a rat, learned martial arts.
For some reason,
for
some reason, the Red Splinter knows martial arts, and for some reason, he finds 4 turtles, and for some reason,
we all accepted that truth, and I enjoyed it. Everyone,
we just want to know one thing for sure: whoever came up with that was really, really drunk.
No, I mean, that was a genius, to be honest. I mean,
he was still drunk when he came up with it. Because the thing is that how can you figure out, like, we have a rat that has 4 turtles and then teach him martial arts?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a good one. And they like pizza, of course, because turtles like pizza.
He doesn't like pizza.
And everyone has their own favorite character. And that's something that I really adore about the animation series. And they translated that extremely well into this game. The first game, it wasn't doing that well. It was very difficult. You still could pick the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but didn't get that vibe across that I was hoping for. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 was a straight up beat 'em up. So you had to beat all the villains that were in the animation series as well, like Bebop. I think the other one was Rocksteady,
yeah.
Shredder, Brain. What I thought is really cool is that, of course, every character has their own unique fighting style. So Donatello has a stick, and
staff. Is the right
staff. Yeah, okay, sorry. I need.
We're talking about weapons, right?
Yeah.
It's a staff.
As a former martial arts guy, I need to know. During the levels, they brought in something fun elements as well, where you need to skateboard or you need to do some sort of strange things around the level itself. It wasn't only moving and wasn't only beating. You had to do some cool stuff as well.
It was still crazy hard, though.
It was really, really difficult. I made it one time to the final boss. I don't know if I actually beat the brain, but it was really difficult.
I rented it a few times because back in the day we rented video games. Yes, that existed.
Yeah.
So I rented a few times. I'm not sure where I cannot recollect where but it again falls in the genre is being crazy hard. For me, at least back then. Maybe I was real bad at video games.
And we're all kinds of crazy stuff going around us. Made it very diverse. All the levels were really exciting. And I played the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. But I played it only a few times. For me, this one is something that I would prefer. But I could also imagine that people would actually prefer the third one because that was a very good implementation as well. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Okay, nice. I did play it. It was a good game. It is a fun game. Not sure if it's playable though. Maybe on an emulator or something you can still play it. But that's quite good. So I have a little bit of not only slight a crossover because I'm going to talk about the games I'm really passionate about. So and which I played silly back in the day. And it's not really a beat 'em up, only really depends on how you look at it. I find it more in a hack and slash. So we're going to talk about Dynasty Warriors. So Dynasty Warriors for me is a game. It started in '97 again on the PlayStation, especially more on the Asia side there. And then we had Dynasty Warriors 2, where it really got more interesting and more hack and slash. Dynasty Warriors, we had the release in January of Dynasty Warrior Origins, which they really did a good job on capturing the essence of the game. And the game is actually where you're sort of a general or sort of a soldier, where you have the 1 against 1,000 fighting, and it's done really, really well. So you basically always have scenarios, and you do that in the 3 Kingdoms period of China, 200 AD, where you have the Yellow Turban Rebellion and where you support one of the factions, the Shu, Wu, or Wei, and you basically pick those scenarios and have certain historical battles. To be honest, about 70% is historical, 30% is fiction, as far as I know, because there are some fights in there. For instance, one of the most famous in the games, the Hulao Gate, comes back in every Dynasty Warriors. That fight never happened. So it's very nice, but that's fictional. And it basically takes you to the narrative of the Romans of the Three Kingdoms, which is actually a book which is in China, where you take on these scenarios and you're the general and you're just fighting against giant armies. Especially in the one that they released in January, which is Dynasty Warrior Origins, they really captured that feel where you go in with your own army and just clash with the other army, and they really captured the essence of a battle, feeling chaotic, but you're also trying to get rid of everybody on the field. A lot of soldiers around you, having a lot of strong officers, which are the main people you're trying to defeat, because if you defeat the officer, the morale of your enemy drops, and it makes it easier to progress towards the stage. But you also need to prevent from your own officers to fail, because otherwise the morale goes the other way and makes you win or lose, and you basically cannot lose your commander, because that makes you lose the entire scenario. And for me, what makes it fun, it is just, you're just slashing through all these enemies and just having pure fun. And you can do it on so many different ways. It's just enjoyable. Some people, the thing is that at some point it does get a little bit repetitive. With the new version, they had some things in which makes that a little bit less, but especially in the older versions, I have actually... One of my friends actually has PSD from playing Dynasty Warriors. He can literally not even watch me play it anymore, because we played Dynasty Warriors 2 and 3 so much. I actually owned 2, 3, and 4, which I actually played till just a whole weekend. When you came out of school, you...
I have to be honest, Robin. I mean, there is so much repetitiveness in the games that... to be able to own 2, 3, 4 is quite crazy.
That's why it's for me. But the thing is, there is no game that does it that good, and they do change the different kind of commanders and heroes. And in the last one, they really deviated from it, because normally you were playing one of the officers, one of the generals that comes in the story. Now you're basically a separate entity. It is just fun. For me, it is fun. I don't really care about the repetitiveness that much till a certain extent, because some points it gets like, okay, yeah, I'm now, we're done with it. But the thing is that I hadn't played it for 15 years, and then I got the new version, and I was like, there we go again, and I just went in straight on, 100%. And it was just feeling 20 years back. And the thing is, why I find it as a classic is it is old. It is on its 10th iteration, which for me means something. Most of them work quite well. They really got that formula. They did it into perfection, except for Dynasty Warrior 9, where basically don't talk about that version. It exists, but we don't acknowledge it.
Skip. 8, 10.
The thing is, they tried some things and it really failed, but it also made them go back towards the basics and just trying to perfect that. And they really did.
To be honest, I mean, sometimes you have to do something in order to really find out what the key things are that the gamers are passionate about, right?
Yeah. And for me, one of the things as well, I actually got invested in the story of the Romans of the Three Kingdoms. And I actually got the books and I actually read them. They're really hard to read, by the way. But I really got invested in that story as well, because it's actually a really turmoil, chaotic time within China itself. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of overthrowing, a lot of backstabbing, by the way. So that comes back with my Twilight Imperium thing. But in general, the whole story is told very well.
So basically what you're saying is they could have prevented that whole backstabbing if they were to just play Twilight Imperium back then.
No, they still backstab. That's
But I mean, Dynasty Warriors is, I think, the game that defines the genre of hack and slash. I mean, how many people can you throw at one guy in order to be able to, you know, slash away? And
I would nuance it a little bit and say that they perfected the 1 against 1,000 genre hack and slash. Then people might get angry, but the 1 against 1,000, I think there's no game that does it better to you. Do you know there's actually a Zelda version of Dynasty doing the same formula of Dynasty Warriors, but done in Zelda? Did you know that?
Didn't know.
Oh, I think it's Hyrule Warriors or something like that. It's and you have that as well. But the thing is that if you just play it, it's just fun, and it can be for some people. For me, it's fun for a lot of hours, but for some people, it's just a lot of fun for getting to a few of the stages and then like, oh yeah, okay, I'll seen it. But it is fun. Dynasty Warriors for me, yeah, I love that game. So especially when they now we have 10, so Origins came out. So I'm really looking forward. They're not going to do any DLC or anything like that, as far as I know. So I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do next. I hope they're going to keep on with the formula they are doing now, because it was a really good game. So I think I think Dynasty Warriors Origins is one of the surprises of this year. I don't think that anybody. Well, some people might disagree with me. Next to with Expedition 33, which is really well received as well. But Dynasty Warrior Origins is also, nobody expected it to be this fun. So it's good for the series, and yeah, I hope more to come. So yeah, Dynasty Warriors for me.
Moving on to my third pick. It's in the same range. You actually already talked about it, so I was almost about to stop you. I was like, save it. Streets of Rage 2. Sega Mega Drive. I mean, this.
We basically, for the audience, we don't tell each other which things we're going to talk about, so this might happen. So just don't blame me.
No. You were in a good vibe, so I didn't want to stop you. No, but Streets of Rage 2. Basically, everything that I just talked about with Double Dragon 2, with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. This just lifted it up another level. You had to be able to pick 4 characters. One, it was a bulky guy. The other one was Skater, a very agile and lean guy that could throw some kicks around. And the levels were, again, very engaging. You could pick up some different type of weapons that you could, bring across. Those bosses were quite difficult every stage, and it became progressively worse and worse because all those enemies and those villains were to pop up during those stages. I still can remember one stage where there's an elevator going down to, I think it was a wrestler guy, and those elevator that was almost like a tower defense kind of style. They were just throwing enemies at you. You needed to be able to survive, and then you were able to survive, and you're like, okay, did I make the stage? Is it finally done? No, you had to fight the real guy, the real villain, which was this wrestler guy. And if that wrestler got a hold of you and strangled you and beat you up, then you were almost halfway done. It was crazy. And they did that same thing. I think it has 8 stages, I believe. In the final level, you had to go up to an elevator all the way up to the villa or something like that. They were throwing robots at you. They would have rockets and throw punches with metal spike. Oh man, this was so difficult. But if you were that feeling, if you were to able to survive and make it all the way through, you felt like the real champ, you know. My nephew had a Sega Mega Drive. This was the game that we played so many times, and this one won over Sonic or any other Sega title back then, because this was the game for us.
Yeah, but I think that one of the main contributors of why that was is that it was that co-op function, right? Like you could play it together, right? Sonic was always
Exactly.
You have to play by yourself, and you need to switch the controller, or you give the controller over. But this is what you actually can do together, and trying to work together and trying to figure out how you can beat these stages. So yeah, I think that one of the things that would be the reasons why you really pick this over Sonic, for instance. Well, there's nothing wrong with Sonic, but playing it together with friends is always better and gives you better reaction, also the emotional reaction when you look back in your life.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What did I really find fun? You're not going to remember the days you were sitting by yourself and playing Sonic on the couch. Well, maybe you're going to do.
Could be.
But you're going to have
most likely,
most likely playing with your friends and playing that certain game and trying to beat that really big boss and failing all the time because
definitely. And to be fair, Sonic at least 2 and I think 3 with Knuckles, they added a co-op version as well, or a more competitive version. But for me, also with the music that came along Streets of Rage 2 as well, it lifted it up, the immersion and the whole feel of that game. I have the Nintendo Switch as well, where you can pick the old consoles. And the first one that I always check if Sega Mega Drive is along that list is Streets of Rage. First one. So to round up segment 1, we're gonna do a small retry, save, or game over quiz.
No.
Yeah, we are.
Not again. I need to. Oh, which one are you gonna kill? I just don't want. No.
I'm not gonna start off this time. You're gonna start off.
So game over for Double Dragon. I haven't played it, so that was an easy one.
What? You're doing game over for Double Dragon 2?
Yeah. Oh shit! Now you're gonna kill my darling. Now you're killing my darling.
No, I hate you. I hate you. This is the game that almost got the whole genre moving.
Yeah, you killed June the last episode, so I'm killing this one now.
Okay, game over for Double Dragon 2.
You thought this up, right? It's not mine.
Next time, Twilight Imperium. I'm gonna backstab you.
I knew it. But I'm guessing you're not going to do that. So, retry is the next one, right?
Yeah.
We have game over, retry, and
save.
And save.
So you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 and Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah, I would save Streets of Rage, but I would really want MC to do something with the Ninja Turtles, especially if you're looking at now they have that comic book which is a little bit darker and stuff like that.
Yeah, The Last Ronin. Yeah.
So I wanna see something with that because that is really
you want to
good.
make it a hack and slash version?
Maybe something like that. But the thing is that if they can do something new with that, it would be fun. Why not? And maybe introduce a new generation in what we did with the Ninja Turtles. And Street of Rage is good, so I was like, yeah, save that. We have it on. We have it. The thing is, you can also turn it around to do something with new Street of Rage. But to be honest, I would, especially with the link with the Last Ronin, I would say try something with that, and maybe it would be cool. Maybe in a Dynasty Warrior esque.
Okay.
Thing. What you can do co-op.
Okay.
Actually, Dynasty Warriors.
I would actually buy that game immediately. You have Heroes of Might and Magic 2. You have
Dynasty Warriors and
TI and Dynasty Warriors. Save Twilight Imperium. Sorry. No. The reason why I'm changing my mind is I think, how long is that? When was it published? TI 4?
TI 4 is, I think now expansion Prophecy of Kings came in 2020. I'm not sure when the TI4 actually came, maybe 2018, 16, something like that.
Okay, so it's not that old. Okay, then save. Otherwise, I would say retry. So make it a 5th TI. But
I'm not guessing they're going to do that anytime soon. But
yeah. So save for TI. Retry Heroes Might and Magic, and then game over for Dynasty Warriors. And the reason why it's too repetitive for me, to be honest, Dynasty Warriors. I know why you like it, but it's too much.
This hurts. This segment sucks.
I love it. So, heading into segment number two before we're going to kill each other. Segment number 2 is our encounters, our newfound classics, or the hidden gems that we found out quite recently. And I'm going to talk about Undaunted. And it's a card/board game. It's actually board game, to be honest. It has it implemented a World War II setting where you're gonna be it's 1 versus 1. So one is playing the Axis, one is playing the Allies in a certain scenario or a campaign-like setting. So you have all your troops ready, and your troops are resembled on cards. So you have a deck of cards starting off. They are basic troops most of the times. You can add reinforcements, so you could quote unquote buy troops to be added to your deck of cards. And you're going to shoot each other and move towards tactical objectives that you're trying to accomplish or achieve. And alongside is you're trying to shoot each other or bombard each other. And every time that you're able to successfully shoot someone, that person needs to get rid of one of those cards, which has defined actions of that troop, out of his deck. So every time that you do it, you get less and less cards, which means less and less actions that you get defined towards and command your troops. And specific troops. Once all of the specific cards of that troop are gone, then that troop is also gone, that trooper. It is such a tight game. It's cutthroat. I have played this quite a few times, and it is always noteworthy. We're always looking at each other like, really? Did you just do this to me?
I'm just saying one word. Stupid mortar.
So the last game we found out that in this scenario, every troop that was available, you could basically reinforce towards your command. And I decided to reinforce with a mortar. And Robin bundled up his all his troops in one place. So it was quite an easy target for me, and just throw some bombs at him and see his troop perish. And
you were so lucky with your rolls.
Sometimes
it's really hard. It's really hard to hit with the damn thing, and you basically roll 3 times. It's like I lost half my team there. It's like it was basically a graveyard. Maybe it wasn't smart of me, but I didn't really. You were just amazing luck there.
Oh, this hurts. Calling my win a luck. I mean, yeah.
If you first time you have it on the table, you think, oh, this game will go quite quickly. But before you know it, you have 2 hours in it. So it really takes a while to get to a certain point. It also really depends on your luck. There's the only thing which for me is a little bit of a drawback, which I would say, okay, I would like to do that better, and is that you're throwing dice to see if you hit or miss. And I think that we had one game where I think the last game we had, until you're getting your good rolls, but before that was I miss, you miss, I miss, you miss.
And there was a lot of sword troopers.
And the turns goes really quickly, but you're not really getting anywhere, which can be quite frustrating if that happens too long. That is, and then you're trying to figure out other ways to try to still get your objectives. But yeah, that's the only thing that is. But yeah, it is really the campaigns, the levels. It's fun, really done well. It reminds me a little bit of Memoirs, but then with cards.
Yeah,
right. That's and we played that in the past as well. And I think that this is just better because with the cards it just feels really well. You can annoy each other with Fog of War for a little bit. You can have your own strategy, but it always is. You never have a clear winner, right? It takes a while for it going your way, right?
For me, the reason why this wins over Memoir 44, I got rid of Memoir 44. I loved that game. I had almost all its expansions, but there were few reasons why I got rid of it. It was one, the setup time. It takes a lot of time to set up all those minis. They look great, but I'm very glad that they chose just tokens for the setup for Undaunted. The second thing, what I got rid of Memoir 44 was the luck was even higher and was less tactical and less strategic as Undaunted, to be honest. I do think that a drawback of Undaunted, and Memoir has it as well, is the consistency of the games. Not all games are great. And that is, I think, a drawback to the game itself. So ideally, every game you should create the same type of epicness or feeling. And that was not the case with Undaunted. But I do think that's the reason why I brought this one along as well. It creates a ripple effect in the game industry. It is not the first deck building mechanism that is out there, but it is the first one that implemented it in a skirmish type of game.
And then it get copied.
Yep. So yeah, that was my pick. What about yours?
So this is being viewed, I think this is viewed as a classic. I'm not sure if a lot of people played it. I'm not sure if you played it actually. But it's Homeworld 2. So Homeworld 2 is a strategy game which really has, and I did replay it on Steam with the remastered version, which I just really find fun. And especially where I see it deviated, it tried something different than all the other strategy games, where normally you have normal base building and you're building structures here and there. Homeworld 2 did it differently, and Homeworld 1 as well, but I have a more fondness of Homeworld 2, just because I played that first. Is where you have your mothership and you're basically building out of your mothership. And you're building smaller fighters in squads, and you're trying to mine and stuff like that. You have the standard things within the game, and you're trying to do that. But you cannot really build the big ships. You have to build one structure, but you have to basically do almost everything out of the mothership. You can move it away as well, and then you go around. And one of the things as well, if you're starting building, you can create really big fleets at some point, which makes it really cool. And even back then, if you're looking at Homeworld 2, if you built like a Corvette or fighter, you didn't build one, but you built a squad of 5. So if you built 20, you had like 100 units on the field, right? And you got these creative battles, and it was really the only thing which you had is a little bit of a rock paper scissors, right? If you build a Corvette, the other one build that, and whatever you're trying to, the one is weak against the other, so you're trying to do that. So you're trying to make a good mix of different kind of fighters and Corvettes and stuff like that, to basically trying to win the match. You also had these big cruisers and battleships where you can actually also basically target missile base and stuff like that. You can actually disable them and then capture them. So which was also really fun. There was things they were trying out. So having these giant space battles in that way, other games tried it, but I think they've never been that successful as what they did with Homeworld 2. For me, it was really fun. Did you actually play it?
I think I played it a few times at your place. I think I played it also on the PC myself. How big were the battles? The space battle at maximum?
Can't remember how big, but they could be quite big. So if you have two big forces against each other with multiple ships, and you just like attack and go head on, and you have your cruisers and you have your lighter carriers and you all that, it actually gets to quite a big battle, and you have a lot of moving parts. using your control, making groups, right? Control 1, control 2, and like trying moving your groups, trying to maneuver and trying to pick off things was really important. So they were quite large, right? You had a lot of items on the field, and it was just different, right? Space, and it was 3-dimensional, so 3D. So you had top and bottom. It brought different challenges instead of building a base and building a war factory and building something out of. And you only had the only thing you could build actually on the map was a shipyard for your really bigger ships, your carriers and your destroyers and your battlecruisers. But the rest you did all with your mothership. So they tried something different, and to be honest, I find that they did it really well. And for anybody that really looks on, especially if there's a Steam sale or whatever, Homeworld 2 Remastered is just a fun way. The campaign as well, which, and I did play some skirmishes against, but the campaign itself is quite good. There's a good fun story in it, how this came to be and how humanity got hyperdrive and all that and what they're trying to do. So that's really fun as well. So that there's a good story in a strategy game. So
you had different factions as well, right? So were
two different factions basically. It was only based on 2 different factions, which had different ships as well. Within the main campaign, you play the Hilgaren, if I correctly, and the Fager is the other side of the map. You could play them when you're doing skirmishes or something like that, and it is fun. I didn't really play multiplayer that much more against the AI, but just the overall feel of that game is really good. They did recently, and I think end of last year, they did release another Homeworld. Sadly, I didn't really got a chance to play it yet, but that is something I still need to pick up and see how that is. So for me, a classic Homeworld 2 remastered. If there's a Steam sale, and you can buy for $5, €5, whatever your currency is, recommended it.
Great value.
It's very good game.
Moving on to the last segment. Segment number 3. What are we looking out for? I am looking out for a game that I pledged on GameFound or Kickstarter, and it's called Ra. It's very difficult to look up because if you're typing in Ra Google, then you'll probably get something different than the board game itself.
Flooded by Egyptian gods. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I will try and explain what this game is about, and the reason why I bought this game or pledged this game. It's completely different than my typical board game collection type of games. This game is a combination of set collection and auctioning. So what happens is you have a bag full of tiles. You try to get as much tiles of a certain set, or at the least of a certain set, because sometimes you get penalty points. And there are certain tiles in it that's called Ra. And at that moment, a forced auction will be happening. In the middle of your gaming table are the tiles being laid out, and you have a bidding number. So everyone has their own bidding tile and starts off with something different, and you have a bidding tile all in the middle. So assuming that you have, number 5, and there's in the middle there is a 10. You're not only bidding for the set tile. So, for example, there is what can I think of, a red tile, but you're also bidding for the tile that's laying in the middle, because that's the tile that you're gonna bring along into the next auction that will happen. And so that's really fun, because there is a sort of like a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional type of auctioning that is happening. And what people are trying to do is stall until you get as much tiles in the middle of the table, because you get all those tiles all at once, and auction at the right moment in time with the right bid. But sometimes you are forced into an auction which no one wants to, or some people would like to. And then the tile in the middle is something that you end up having towards the next auction in the next round. To me, that is a mixture of chaos, fun and player engagement that I tend to love. So really excited and looking forward to.
When are you expecting it to arrive?
Yeah, it is difficult with the current things that are going on, but I think they're currently in production. I think within a month time. So I'm hoping actually by the next podcast that I would be able to share it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward if you have it, we'll play a game. It sounds interesting though, especially the auction and how you go around that game mechanic. So interesting. Yeah. So my pick for this section is a game that is coming out in a little over 2 months. So Chang Fallen Feathers, I have to say it correctly.
Fallen Feathers?
Yeah, it's Fallen Feathers, yeah. So it actually has a connection with Dynasty Warriors as well. I was reading up on it because I was like, oh, I want to play this game. It looks cool. I've been playing Dynasty Warriors and I've been playing also Monster Hunter Wilds a lot. And those are more action RPGs and more, right, you need to dodge and parry and stuff like that. And I also want to go more in towards the Souls-like games, how they call it. For me, it's still an action RPG. Probably people will kill me over that. But for me, it's basically dodging, don't get hit, and win and kill as efficiently as possible. And when you get hit, you're basically being punished very hard. And this is also a game in that genre. It does really look cool. It goes into China, and it's basically you are a pirate that has amnesia. For some reason, they always have amnesia. And you're playing in the Ming Dynasty, but also in the Three Kingdoms Dynasty, where you're basically going through a story. And I have that Souls game like in there. But it also has that, right, it is going in the genres which I'm really playing a lot. So yeah, I'm really looking forward what that brings. Looking at the RPG and those kind of games, they're not coming out a lot this year, or at least that's my perception. And this one really looks good and looks well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to give that a go. So it will come out the 24th of July. And yeah, it will be available on all platforms. It looks fun, at least, and also challenging, because I think that a lot of people really got in towards that Souls kind of game. And it's also fun to watch if you see people are really good at it, so that you really see all the dodging and stuff like that, and they're not getting hit, and they just basically trash those bosses. Where you know that if you play it, you basically get hit left, right, and center, but they are make it look so easy, which is, for me, is also fun, especially in other games I play. So Wu Chang Fallen Feathers coming out at 24th July is something that I'm looking forward for.
Yeah, can imagine. Sounds cool. Cool theme as well, and a theme that you really like. So that was it, gamers. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a star rating, and more importantly, create some gaming memories.